The ball's definitely in my hands a lot more than it was last year. Um, I would say, to answer that question, the ball's in my hands more. I just think the team's just doing well. I feel like the most important thing was getting Nigel and Norchad and the freshmen accommodated to like our play style and getting them on the train of wanting to win a national championship.
Jim was saying the other day, hello, by the way. Jim was, good to see you. Jim was saying that, some stats that they kept that you were like a 4-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, and he definitely wants the ball in your hands more. Is that, do you like that? Do you like having the ball in your hands more? And is that something that we're definitely going to see a lot of this year? You're going to be very different because everyone knows you from last season, the offensive rebounding and all that stuff. What other things are you going to be doing this year that people will be surprised? You alluded to a little.
Having the ball in my hands a lot more, like you mentioned. I would say, my game's not the flashiest game compared to, others, but I pride myself in making the right decisions, and I think having a 4-to-1 ratio kind of talks for itself. And just some things to expect is, being able to bring the ball up in transition. I didn't do any of that last year. Confident jump shooter, more confident than last year, and just having the ball in my hands more.
In general, when you play in an Elite Eight, you play at the highest level, Sweet 16, Elite Eight, and you see and you prove to yourself that, hey, I can do this, and as a team and as an individual. How does that carry over to this season, that kind of feeling of confidence that you guys did reach the Elite Eight last year?
Yeah, I always say it was bittersweet. We made it to Elite Eight. Obviously, we wanted to win the national championship. I think the biggest thing that brought to our program was just motivation. No one's ever really satisfied with losing, and that was a tough loss to Kansas. So we kind of just used that as billboard material for us to, just push us through the days we don't want to, necessarily go as hard. But I think you should see a pretty determined Miami team this year.
And Nigel, can you talk about, Charlie was just such a dynamic kind of point guard that did such special things. How would you describe Nigel? Oh God, now.
I didn't know. I was just a really big fan. I was just recording.
I always feel like that question's tough because it's trying to compare an apple and an orange. I think Nigel brings so much to a team. He can facilitate, but he can also play off the ball and shoot. He's a tremendous shooter. We all know he's the #1 returning three-point percentage shooter. I was surprised for his size. He plays a lot bigger than that. I think he's going to add a lot to the team this year.
And what about Norchad? Energy is the word I keep hearing, but what does he bring?
Yeah, he's like a bull. That's what I would call him. He has a lot of energy. He's a hefty guy. He can jump out the gym. I think he's going to be a lot of our motor this year, and we're just looking to build off that.
What can you say about what you've learned from Charlie Moore last year, and what does that advice or what you've seen from him, what do you carry into the next season?
Right. I would say, so coming into Miami, I was going into my 4th year. I was thinking I was going to become one of the older guys. Come to find out, I was not. I was one of the youngest. But I learned leadership from him. He was one of the older guys. He knew how to keep a team together, how to keep them glued. He facilitated a lot offensively and defensively. So, I just look to carry some of those things that he did into this team because we're a bit on the younger side now. We got 4 freshmen that just came, 2 transfers. I'm the oldest now, quick switch, but just trying to, use that leadership skills that he showed into this year's team.
Jordan, where do you think you guys will be a little bit different or better than a year ago that you're noticing in practices?
Can you clarify a little bit more?
Just either offensively or defensively. I know defensively you got the freshmen in. It looks like you might be able to switch a little bit differently or guard differently. Offensively, you're playing with a different style of point guard. What are some things maybe that you're noticing that you guys will be a little bit better at or a little bit different at?
Again, I don't really like comparing, but I would say we're a lot more comfortable with the small ball. I'm sure Coach L has ran that at some point in his many, many years. But, having guys return that have played it and are familiar with it, I think you should be looking forward to see an updated version of that, more improved, more sharp. Obviously, there's still some kinks we got to work out. We have some freshmen, we got some new guys that are going to play serious minutes. But I think for the most part, we all have a general knowing of how to play small ball.
Isaiah was saying that he thinks Wuga is, when I asked him who might surprise this year, someone that's not as much on the radar, and he said Wuga Poplar. What have you seen from him this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, Wooga is a dynamic scorer. Last year was his freshman year, and I mean, I can speak for experience. My freshman year was not the best, but I think you guys will be surprised. He's still coming along, but I think for his development and him being a rising sophomore, it shows a lot of promise.
What are some of the advantages you think this team will have being a small team playing small ball?
Yeah, I just think quickness overall. You know, tall trees still fall the same. So just being able to use our quickness, like last year we weren't the biggest, the heftiest team. However, you got to find a way to win, and last year we did that. So, I'm feeling confident going into the season.
In Coach L's system, what do you think you've learned the most from him, and what can some of what you've learned carry over into this season?
Yeah, I would say familiar with experience in late game situations. Coach L's been in a lot of late game situations. He's had a long, tremendous career, and just kind of knowing more as far as, okay, obviously he calls up the plays and stuff like that, but having a general idea of, okay, I'm feeling confident in this situation now compared to when I first got here.
Coming off 2 years from the portal, is there still something that you take back from George Mason and Coach Paulson coming back to Miami, or is this something you still utilize?
I would say Coach Paulson helped me become more versatile, showing guard skills, big skills, a little bit of everything. So I would say that was probably the biggest thing I took away from that.
And you talked about earlier the loss to Kansas, obviously, and does it resonate with you anymore that you guys were just 20 minutes away? It wasn't, it was a tough second half, and you really saw what could happen. And is that really like when you say you got to work harder, work harder, work harder? You think about that second half a little bit, just see how close you were to being in the Final Four, which is an unbelievable mark in college basketball.
I would say definitely think about it, but it's gotten less and less as time's going on. It's a new season approaching. Sometimes you just got to put past things in the past. But it's still always going to be, billboard material. However far we make it, we know we want to push our limits and get farther this year. For sure. Yes, sir.
You guys obviously made it to the Elite Eight, but not ranked in the top 25. What do you think will surprise people about this team?
I mean, with the whole rank thing, I've never really been a fan of it, just because it's just people and their guesses, So I think the whole team can speak, as we don't really take it to heart. We were picked 12th last season, finished top 8 in the country, so we're not necessarily worried about the rankings or anything like that.
But what do you think will surprise people about this team?
I just think our grit, our determination. We got experience and inexperience, and it's weird. I know I say both, but we do. We got some guys that's been there, done it, and shown themselves in big time leagues, and we got some freshmen that are playing against those guys who are getting to that level. So I think the way we play, we're gonna play small ball, so it won't be a surprise. But I think our level of competition and how bad we want it will be a surprise.
Appreciate it.
So,